Hello everybody, it is game number 2 between Riser and Predator, Gonzi Community Cup number 12. Yeah, it was number 12 finals, going on to a lucky number 13 here in just a couple of weeks. So we had game number 1 taken there by the Terran player with some really good opening Blue Flame Hellion rush into just a really strong macro and mech push out. You did enough crippling damage. You killed, I think, over 30 workers with just that opening barrage of Hellions. Not to mention all the Zerglings and a few Queens that went down. And that just bought the Terran player tons of time to be able to just build up this giant mech force. And he was even well defended at home. Even if the Zerg managed to get out, 12 mutas, there were Thors, there were missile turrets, there was, tons and tons of units to move out when it was time to attack. So he played that one just to the T. Zerg player played well, managed to get out a really good economy, but he just didn't get in a scout to see what was coming. And as I like to say, you've got to understand after the Terran expands whether it's going to be like a 3 command center build or if it's going to be some sort of pressure based attack, drops with bio, maybe going for just a blue flame attack as we had seen in that last game there. So we'll see how the Zerg player is going to adapt here. I didn't get a chance to cast a lot of his games, but shout out to X Game, the team. They showed up in force to the tournament like always, and they always do super, super well. Happy to see one of the Zerg players make it through into the finals. Looks like the Terran's going to open up with a Reaper build. Super, 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 super standard. And our Overlord's on the way down there. Expansion happening. We'll see if he goes for a gas and pool again to try to deny it with a lot of speedlings. It was a great opening, I think, for a Riser in the last game. He did get that fast speed, did get out a lot of Zerglings to try to control the map, but as soon as, 14 Hellions come across with Blue Flame, it doesn't really matter how many Zerglings you kind of have out at that point, unless the Terran player is just terrible, terrible at control. We're going to get this wall off here in just a second. Orbital taking up those couple minerals. And we'll see what he wants to go into with this one. As I mentioned in the first game, Predator was able to show a lot of different types of styles, being able to do mech, being able to do bio, being able to do aggressive, being able to do macro. We'll see what he brings out in this game. And I think that's the mark of a really good player. You generally only have a handful of builds that most pro players are going to really practice the hell out of. Make sure that they're really, really strong at. But from the experience that I've had, you've got to be able to have at least a handful of builds that you can go to in longer series so that way you can change up your play. You can't use the same strategy game after game after game. Eventually, a good player is going to be able to adapt to that. There is a second Reaper coming out as well at this point. Going to run up into the map. Queens are on the way, but the Zerglings are just about to pop right now, so he's going to cut it just slightly close. Might lose a drone. Oop. Very good timing on that. A little bit of a Reaper micro. He's actually got quite a bit of damage onto it right now. Queens should be coming out in just a second. There is a free drone down here, but this Queen will be out in just a second. I'll deal with it. 15 hit points left. We'll meet up with his buddy over here. And it looks like we're just going to have the 2 Reapers. It's the factories on the way. Zerg players now so ballsy with their Overlords. They know that there's not going to be any Marines coming out. You can see that there's an upgrade going down on the reactor. The factory's there. So he wants to get as much scouting as possible this time. Last game, he could have held on against that Blue Flame build if he knew it was coming. If he had scouted that second factory, he'd have been able to just, build a couple of spines, maybe get out some roaches, delay us taking that other base, and therefore not sacrifice so many drones when the time had come. We do have a starport going down. The Overlord is actually going to follow the barracks. You can see it's just on follow command there. We'll see what it's setting up for the starport. Once again, you'll see there's an add-on here, so he's perfectly fine. Oh, did we get any kills on these guys? 2 kills. Were they workers? We got 1 worker. It's always something. Still big joining up. More and more Queens. We are at 3. He's going to go back up to 5 again. Speed is on the way. He looks like he's going to come down here and take another base. So the barracks is actually making a Marine right now. I don't know if the Zerg player is paying attention to that yet or not. And there is Stim also happening. So maybe it's not going to be Banshees. We're actually going to have a Viking pop out here first. Try to shut down this scout before he decides what to do next. Overlord's trying to run away. He's going to run south to delay the Vikings or Marines from being able to do anything else. We'll see if the stim is a fake or not. That'd be a very expensive fake. Nope, he's actually just getting another tech lab, which I don't think the Zerg player would have seen. Big pile of Hellions. Zerg player does see this. Supply blocked momentarily. Lots of queens out there, so we'll hopefully be able to deflect this alright. Doesn't have any transfuse energy just yet. Queens do a pretty good job on Hellions when it comes to getting a little bit of damage off. Where'd that Viking go? See how it moved around again? Anyways, a few more Hellions on the way. We are going to have bio play this time. More barracks going down, bunker at the front, walling off, getting the economy rocking and rolling. So this base is finished, but you would want to be very careful here. There's a lot of Zerglings out and a lot of queens. This Viking's already up to 2 kills, and looks like he might get at least 1 more. We do have our pneumatized Carapace coming out from Riser. Does like to get that Overlord speed, keep a few more of them alive, and scout more easily later. Whoa! Free drones. The drones actually turn to fight and then therefore lose their lives. That was a little sad. We do have other gases taken now. 11 more drones on the way. Layer tech happening. We do have another command center now. So that's an important scout. We saw that the Zerg player came in here and saw that the Starport was going to go down plus upgrades. So that meant there was going to be a delay in the command center. So he's got out a few more lings, a few queens, just to be able to deal with any type of aggression that may have been happening. Should be expecting some drop play, but he actually wanted to go for a Banshee first. No cloak happening though. He can afford it as well. But unless he plans on making, you know, a couple of Banshees and really committing into using those, it would just be a fairly expensive thing to do. Viking actually got 4 kills before it's on its way around for another pass. Still 1 more to hunt down here. That's about it. Creep spread's on its way. There's not a lot of creep tumors. There we go. I was about to say there's a lot of extra queens. Expected to see a few extra creep tumors. These guys might be able to get a free queen here. They were paying a bit more attention. I'm surprised he's not on the watchtower at least to give himself a bit more vision of what's happening. Picks off 1 Hellion there. Nice snipe. And we do have our Banshee out. Spire's on the way now, which this should be able to shut down the Banshee or the Viking, or hopefully delay any drop play that's coming out. This queen looks like it's going to go down here. Having 1 Banshee mixed in with this force is so effective. Just being able to snipe down a queen or 2 works so well. That DPS is just so much higher against, you know, this little bit stronger of a unit. Lots of Zerglings out. He's going to try to get us around, but he's not really running past the units here. And the Hellions do get cleaned up. Where did that Banshee go? Did the Banshee die? I think it did. We've got 1 kill on that, so yeah, our Banshee is gone. So we just wanted 1 to go out there and maybe patrol around a bit. Terran player looking to expand. Do have this Viking still being annoying over here. And double medevac drop, just chilling. This should be extremely effective. Stim is done. He doesn't have any of his 1-1 going to be anywhere near finished. But our Zerg player is only still on Zergling tech. His Zerglings are about to be 1-1 though. So he should be able to hopefully deal with these drops alright. Macro hatch going down. That the Terran player does see here. Let's see what kind of damage he's in. The Zerglings are on the wrong side of the map right now. Not that much at home to defend. So the drop will finish, but we have the Zerg player as well coming in here to do a bunch of damage. He's going to split up his units, which is smart. He lost, I think that was that his pool or his Baneling nest? I think he lost his Baneling nest there, which really sucks. Oh no. Well, at least we're going to find out now it's a Baneling nest. Yes, it is a Baneling nest. And he was researching his centrifugal hooks. Sucky timing. Hopefully he doesn't lose some queens here. Down at the bottom, the Zerg player is still doing a little bit of damage. Killed off a bunch of workers. See if he's going to lose the lair here. He might just have to sack it. This is a lot of DPS in a small space. No transfuses going down. Instead, he's already making himself another lair. And that might have been the smart thing to do. Might have cost him a lot of energy and potentially his queens to try to keep that alive. So it's essentially 2 base against 2 base. Zerg player did get his Spire finished and his +1 is on the way, but isn't invested any of this money into getting out mutas. He's got enough to get out, 10 or 11 of them. And that would help shut down these drops that are still just chilling over here. 1-1 about to finish up for the Terran. 2-2 about halfway done for our Zerg player. Creep spread just kind of enough to keep things going. It's been a little bit distracted. Predator's doing a great job of just being annoying. Queens would like to sit there and tank, but might not be the wisest thing to do right now. Does lose one of those queens. Actually missed picking up a handful of his troops there. Not gonna hurt too bad though. Another double drop to the north. This is so effective. He's gonna... That's funny. He canceled the gases, but he didn't cancel the expensive hatchery. Oh well. So now the Zerg player's in a tough spot. He's gonna have to try and split up his units. And now he's got 18 mutas on the way. Hopefully that's going to be able to help shut this down, because there's 2 double drops on each side now. And the Terran player is safely mining on 3 bases, where the Zerg really is still just mining from 2. Looks like Predator will get this base without too much difficulty, but the mutas are now out. I don't know if the Terran player is paying a lot of attention to that right there. He didn't focus down any mutas. Up on this side, there's still a drop. Now that the Terran player knows the mutas are out, he's going to be very careful about picking up these medevacs. And he doesn't know what the mutas are. I'm sure he's going to assume that the mutas are on the way up here to intercept this drop. In fact, we see Riser's finally going to want to go on the offensive here. Let's see how many workers he can get killed. He's actually killed 10 already this game. We'll just keep that kill count open. At the same time, he's going for a surround on those Marines at the top. It looks like they're going to get cleaned up as the Terran player is quite distracted at the moment. This is just kind of an unfortunate moment there for Predator. He ended up losing another dozen or so workers. He lost his entire army in the top left. And now we have more mutas on the way out right now. Zerglings are just going to run straight into this base. Very smartly, he runs past the units before attacking. He's going to get himself so many more kills there. Only a handful of workers do escape. See, that's smart. If you start attacking, they're going to start going after, these buildings before running into the mineral line for maximum damage. So Riser, who I thought was way behind in this game, is actually starting to pull ahead. This base is finished up, which he's really just using for gas. This base just finishing. He's starting a 5th right now as well. This looks like kind of a desperation push out for the Terran player. 2-2 is not finished right now, and he's pushing really far onto creep. Banelings, oh, that was not the best of attack timings there for Predator. I would have considered him kind of on even footing. Now I would say that he's quite a long ways behind. And in fact, if he loses these medevacs, he's even going to be in worse off spot. Zerglings are going to come back in here along with some Banelings. And there's the GG from Predator. Couple of really quick things turning out that entire game. Now puts the series tied up at 1-1. We're moving off to game number 3.